2, 1.
Every who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot.
But the Grinch who lived just north of Whoville did not.
The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why, no one quite knows the reason.
It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right.
It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight.
But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small.
But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the shoes.
Staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm, lighted who's below their town, for he knew every who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe leaf.
And they're hanging their stockings.
He snarled with a sneer.
Tomorrow's Christmas is practically here.
Then he growled with his grinchy fingers, noticing
I will find some way to stop Christmas from coming.
For tomorrow, he knew.
All the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys and then...
Oh, the noise, oh, the noise, 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 noise.
That's one thing he hated.
The noise.
Noise!
Noise,
Noise!
Then whose young and old would sit down to a feast.
And they'd feast.
and they'd feast,
And they feast!
Feast!
feast, feast.
They would feast on Who Parley and who roast feast.
Which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least.
And then they'd do something he liked least of all.
Every who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together in Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand to hand.
And the Who's would start singing.
They'd sing.
And they'd sing.
And they'd sing,
Sing!
Sing!
sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas singing,
The more the Grinch thought.
I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I put up with it. Now I must stop from the Christmas from coming. But how?
Then he got an idea.
An awful idea. The
Grinch
Grinch
got a wonderful, awful idea.
I know what just to do.
The Grinch laughed in his throat. And he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and chuckled.
What a Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat, I look just like St. Nick. All I need is a reindeer.
the Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scared, there was none to be found.
Did that stop the old Grinch?
No.
The Grinch simply said,
If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead.
So he called his dog Max.
and then he took some red thread and he tied it a big horn on top of his head.
Then he loaded some eggs
And some old empty sacks.
On a ramshackle sleigh.
And he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said,
Yep.
and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay snooze in their town.
All the windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air.
All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care.
when he came to the first little house on the square,
This is step number 1.
the old Grinchy Claus hissed.
And he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist.
Then he slid down the chimney a rather tight pinch.
But if Santa could do it,
Then so could the Grinch.
He got stuck only once for a moment or two.
Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace, flew where the little Who stockings all hung in a row.
These stockings
He grinned.
are the first things to go.
then he slithered and slumped with a smile most unpleasant.
Around the whole room, he took every present.
Pop guns,
And bicycles,
Roller skates,
Drums
checkerboards,
tricycles.
popcorn,
and blows.
and he stuck them in bags.
Then the Grinch, very nimble, stuffed all the bags, one by one, up the chimney.
Then he slung to the icebox.
He took the Who's feast.
He took the Who pudding.
He took the roast beef.
He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash.
Why that Grinch even took their last can of Who Patch.
Then he stuck all of the food up the chimney with glee.
And now,
Grinned the Grinch.
I'll stuff up the tree.
And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove.
When he heard the small sound like a coo of a dove,
He turned around fast and he saw a small Who.
Little Cindy Lou, Who.
Who was not more than 2.
the Grinch had been caught by his tiny Who daughter, who got out of bed for a cup of cold water.
She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?
But you know that old Grinch was so smart and he so slick, he thought up a lie.
And he thought it up quick.
Why, my sweet little tooth?
The fake Santa Claus lied.
There's a light at the top of this tree that won't light up on one side, so I'm taking it home to my workshop to... Oh, my dear, I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here.
And his fib fooled the child.
Then he patted her head and got her a drink. And he sent her to bed.
And then Cindy Lou, who went to bed with her cup, he went to the
Pardon the
chimney
interruption, staff, but we will be inside for lunch recess inside. Thank you.
Then the last thing he took was the log for the fire.
Then he went up the chimney himself, the old lair.
On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire.
And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse.
Then he did the same thing to the other 2 houses.
Leaving crumbs too much small for the other Who's mouses.
One.
Oh, it was quarter past dawn.
All the Who's still in bed.
Oh, the Who's do a snooze.
When he packed up his sleigh,
Packed it up with their presents.
The ribbons
The wrappings
the tags,
And the tinsel.
and the trimmings.
and the trappings.
3,000 feet up.
Up this side of Mount Trumpet.
He rode with his load to the tip top to dump it.
Pooh, boo-hoo to the Who's.
He was grinchiously humming.
They're finding out there's no Christmas is coming. They're just walking up. Now they'll find out the mouse ain't open for a minute or 2. And the Who's and Who will cry boo-hoo. That's a noise.
Grinned the Grinch.
I simply must hear.
So he paused and the Grinch put his hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow.
It started in low.
Then it started to grow.
But the sound wasn't sad.
Why, this sound sounded merry.
It could be so.
But it was merry.
Very.
He stared down at the Whoville.
The Grinch popped his eyes.
Then he shook.
What he saw was a shocking surprise.
Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing.
Without any presents at all?
He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came.
Somehow or another, it came just the same.
And the Grinch with his Grinchy eyes full in the snow.
stood puzzling and puzzling.
How could it be so? I came without ribbons. I came without tops. I came without packages, boxes, or bags.
And he paused 3 hours till the puzzle was solved.
Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before.
Maybe Christmas
He thought,
doesn't come from a store. Maybe Grammy Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more.
and what happened then?
Well, in Whoville, they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day.
And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whistled with his loud throat the bright morning light.
And he brought back the toys.
And the food for their feast?
Well, in Whoville, and he
himself, the Grinch,
conquered
the roast feast.
by Chase Young.